Hello, this is Paul Lennon. I'm the author of Our Father, Maciel, Who Art in Bed. The subtitle I changed recently, and it's called My Life in the Legion of Christ. This book has a long history, began in 2008, at a time that I was being sued by the Legion. And it's my biography of life in the Legion of Christ. It could be called Paul Lennon before, during, and after the Legion of Christ. This title, of course, was, we might say, very unfortunate because I think it scandalized a lot of people. Originally, the title had been Our Father Who Art in Bed, and that didn't go down well with a lot of very conservative Catholics. So then I changed it to Our Father Maciel, Who Art in Bed, but I think it still was an obstacle to many. I want to assure everybody, and especially my good Catholic audience, that this book is not scandalous or morbid in any way. It's just a title which might have kind of led you in the wrong direction. It's simply my story with the Legionaries of Christ and my encounters and conflicts, perhaps, and some battles with Father Maciel, who at that time was untouchable. My exit from the Legion was brought about by an encounter with Father Maciel in Cotija, Mexico, his hometown, in 1984, when we were doing our spiritual exercises. And I think at that time I was getting a little bit tired of Father Maciel and his very dominating and authoritarian way, and the way he often humiliated us in public to drive home some kind of a point. Anyway, in this book I describe my final moments in the Legion when Father Maciel came in to give us the introductory speech to our retreat, our spiritual exercises in his hometown. He made a kind of a triumphal entry after having us wait 2 or 3 hours for him to come in. And he extolled the virtues of his latest legionary poster boy, who is still one of the poster boys of the Legion, Florencio Sanchez Soler, who I knew personally. And I believe that Maciel, was forgetting those who had gone before, laying the groundwork and performing the less flashy tasks. Everyone began with youthful enthusiasm, but what was left of it after 10 or 20 years when the gloss wore off? What about, I began to say, publicly without being given permission, what about those legionaries who encountered obstacles on their path and began to struggle with obedience and with their human frailties? I was incensed by the despotic sending of 2 men I knew to Gabon, Africa, as a punishment for questioning Father Maciel, together with the fate of other admirable legionaries who I felt had been unjustly sidelined. I did the unexpected and spoke up, interrupting Father Maciel. He kept talking about all those coming in, but what was about the hole in the bottom of the sack, all those legionaries who were leaving? At that point, our discussion became more and more heated, and basically it ended very, perhaps very painfully, when I was told to stop, to shut up, at which point I felt there was no more room in the Legion for me. It was not my place. And I, not very prudently, stormed out of that meeting, put my belongings in my old battered suitcase, and made for the nearest bus stop in Cotija, fleeing to Guadalajara, where I spent the first night on my own after 23 years in the Legion of Christ. So this is one of the many episodes that I narrate in this history. And we also talk about other legionaries who suffered at the hands of Father Maciel. I also comment on a few of the unknown or less unknown victims of Father Maciel who were sexually abused by him when seminarians. But there is nothing here morbid, there is nothing scandalous in these pages. It is just very well thought out, I think, and also a very heartfelt biography of my days in and out of the Legion of Christ, and how I remade my life after leaving the Legion. Something which should interest a lot of legionaries too, who are thinking of leaving. They're afraid to leave because they've nothing to turn back to. And this tells the story of how I made that step out of the Legion back to the lay life and to relative peace, faith and happiness. Thank you very much for your attention.